Hello, Astro friends. Melanie here, coming at you from beautiful Victoria with the Astro weather for the week, for the rest of the month. In fact, I decided this Astro week can go until the 30th of April. Easier month-wise, but also since there are alignments coming up that reach into literally the last day of April. And it all revolves around the new moon, or culminates with that new moon in Taurus on the 27th, Sunday, which comes with a fixed grand cross. I show you the chart. Check this out. Yeah. So most charts you might see out there in the media sphere don't feature Lilith, but Lilith is also part in the picture. Without Lilith, it would be a T-square, but Lilith lines up with that pattern and completes it to a grand cross. So what's going on here? There's a lot of pressure, there's a lot of tension. It's a pressure cooker here. We especially experience here in Canada with the upcoming federal election on the day after the new moon, right in this tension field, as they would say in German. Spannungsfeld is a German word. And yeah, so it comes almost on a daily basis now. Boom, boom, boom. Daily tension and square opposition alignments that all are part of this grand cross. And the grand cross, as I said, creates a lot of pressure, especially in fixed signs which are unyielding, are really sitting there and not going anywhere. And there can be a lot of resistance, in fact, and lots of polarity, lots of conflict, and we experience all of the above currently in Canada and elsewhere, politically, societally, especially also societally, since Pluto in early Aquarius is part of that grand cross. And the big, probably the most important alignment of all these squares and oppositions is the opposition of Mars with Pluto. Pluto is the higher dimension, the transpersonal version, so to say, of Mars, because with Mars it's about personal will, personal desire, personal energy behind something, drives. With Pluto, its higher power is deeper evolutional forces there that are at work. And if you're wondering about the Pope, yes, I also wrote an Astro article in honor of the Pope with his birth chart, with actually two different birth charts for different birth times. And spoiler alert, I found that the one that is the official one is not necessarily the best one for him. There's an alternative one. And I discussed both, and also Sabian symbols for him, the transits of his passing, and the whole process of doing this in the last 2 days has been very eye-opening for him to understand the phenomenon, Pope Francis better, and it's been beautiful, beautiful downloads at this occasion of his transition. And yeah, so I invite you to check out that article, and that's on my blog. Link is below to the blog. Then, yes, of course, that is also part of this Grand Cross. Actually, Pope Francis was born with a mutable Grand Cross, but the fixed one is even more intense. And here we need to actually center ourselves and hold space for what is processing, what is transforming. So back to that Grand Cross. As I said, probably the key part in that, and yeah, we already had 2 installations of that, is Mars in early Leo, now opposing Pluto in early Aquarius. So the opposition is always where two sides can drift apart, can be so alienated literally with the Aquarius and from each other, be in different worlds, and they need to be bridged. So what are we dealing with here? With Mars freshly in Leo since the 17th, are we dealing a lot with power? Sorry, power is a Pluto, with passion, with personal passion, with needing to also be in our sovereignty. And lots of people now are wondering, like, that of course also applies to the Canadian sovereignty. It can apply to a whole country, but of course also us individually. Sovereignty is very Leo, something also that we are proud of and that we are happy to show, that gives us energy, that is creative, expressive, and artistic maybe, right? So anything that is about showing our colors. And then in terms of even the elections, right, showing our true colors. Of course, the parties are color coded, and what comes up here is with Lilith in Scorpio, that we also, Lilith in Scorpio for most of the year started on March 30th and goes until winter solstice. So this is about unconditioning, rewilding, so to say, but practically speaking, unconditioning and psychologically unconditioning ourselves from what we might be societally, parentally, peer-wise, and what else? Yeah, through various influences, right? So including the media and so on, we are conditioned, and Lilith helps us, especially in Scorpio, to shed these layers of conditioning, and that could be part of this process currently too. So what are your true colors? Where where do you stand, right? The Taurus, right? Where are your values, like deep down at the core, which is Scorpio and Pluto. What makes your heart sing? Where are you passionate? Where you're not leading with fear and dread and resistance, but actually with passion and creativity, and with what you would like to see and what you like to give more energy to. So all this comes up and creates tension and is also a pressure cooker. So yes, that new moon, I'm just was just looking at the Sabian symbol for the new moon, and wanted to share that with you. Sabian symbols are these symbols that have been downloaded and yeah, by divination in a way, right? Received, channeled, uh, maybe 100 years ago, something around that, early 20th century, and then redefined, and not redefined, but reinterpreted by Dane Rodier in 1973. It's a timeless oracle for each degree in the zodiac, 360 of them. And I use them for the new moons, full moons, or when a planet goes retrograde or out of retrograde. So always extra information can be gleaned from those, and it's amazing how they actually align with what's going on in all these um, various scenarios, how the Sabian symbols come alive, right? So here's a Sabian symbol for the new moon, which will be on the 27th of April at 12:31 p.m. Pacific Daylight Savings Time. Yeah, also on the chart, I'm just seeing my note. No planet is currently retrograde until Pluto goes retrograde on the 4th of May, May the 4th. And so we are now also in a window where things can manifest much faster than usually. And so here is the new moon catalyzing that. The new moon will be at 7:46 Taurus, and so Sabian symbols are typically rounded up. So we're looking at 8 Taurus, and what do we find? The symbol says a sleigh on land uncovered by snow. The keynote here is the value of anticipating and preparing for expectable conditions. And further, here we have a combination of two factors: the sleigh, which is a product of traditional skill, so Taurus, right? And the ability humans have to foresee and thus to prepare for future situation. This is all very apropos Taurus and Aquarius, because Aquarius is also about the future and how is it all going, where is it all going, how is it all developing, right? And so this is all key in this current tension that is there. How can we best prepare for the future? And election wise, so what would be the best option, the best choice that helps with a good preparation for the future, because there's so much coming down now in terms of changes, and which party, which leader can we trust, and trust the country, our economy, our affairs, to lead us, but not only just from top down, old school, old empire style, but actually in a participatory Aquarian way, also in a more free expression of ourselves, and less interference. All of that would be Aquarius also, right? So Aquarius is a co-creation. It's not following the leader. It's not just handouts and all that. It's about we the people coming together, and the leaders reflect that actually with their own program and with their own personality. So here we have the sleigh and the preparation for future situation, in other words winter, right? And it says this ability relates the symbol to the one for Taurus 7 degrees, because the woman from Samaria, so this is actually a biblical story, woman of Samaria at the well, not going into that. That's another Sabian symbol that can be completely different, apparently, one after the other. So it says the woman of Samaria had the capacity to receive a revelation of the future state of human evolution, though in a different and subconscious sense. So this was more like the prophetic download of this woman of Samaria. I believe she met Jesus and she was sitting at the well. And here says humans should be ready to use past knowledge and skill to meet the demands of a stage yet to come. So this is also the traditional Taurus, and in this case even in combination with the future-oriented Aquarius. So how can we use what has been developed or what we have seen, like experience, right? And Taurus is also very traditional, right, for future conditions. So nothing new under the sun, but at the same time there's a trajectory here happening, and we can actually apply our experience into the future. And here it says this third stage of the eight fivefold sequence, we should realize the value of future-oriented imagination, but also relying upon the natural order of unfoldment of all life processes. In this case, yeah, winter is coming, the ice is coming, the snow is coming. That's a natural unfoldment. Cycles are happening, but we can also have future-oriented imagination. So the human factor to influence that and to work with that ideally, and in an ideal way, I mean, right? So that's interesting with that new moon symbol, even bringing in the Pluto and Aquarius factor. And as I said, at the same time, Lilith is part of that. So helping us unconditioned from unnecessary programming, so to say, right? And with Mars in Leo, to be creative, to really be creative and passionate and confident and bold. And so what can we do, right? And yeah. and in a positive way. What would make us proud? What would make the country, right, and the people, Aquarius, proud? So, yeah, so that full moon with a T square is quite something. And as I said, on a daily basis, we're getting now tension aspects coming in. Let me just go to those day by day. Today, this evening, it starts with the sun, it's the 23rd, with the sun in Taurus squaring Pluto in Aquarius. So this part is exact this evening, Sun and Pluto. And I thought actually with the Pope's passing, very relevant also symbolically and literally with the Pope, right? Because the Sun is spirit, consciousness, Christ consciousness, light. Pluto is death and transformation. And the Sun would be then in response to that again, resurrection, right? Back to life, back with light and enlightening energies that maybe come through deep processes. And so it is also a tension, a conflict between the energy of Taurus. Let me just get a sip of water. Taurus being all about values, right? And and Aquarius, right? So a Taurus actually also it's the contrast between owning and sharing, right? So Taurus is this is mine, this is what I've built, this is yeah, a sense of ownership and values. And with Aquarius, it's all of us, right? So we need to look also at the system and at contribution. What do we contribute to the system? How do values and the evolution of values, right? That's also Pluto in Aquarius with a Taurus. And yeah, so with the Pope, he had a lot going on in Aquarius, and actually also Uranus strongly, according to the chart that I would like to attribute to him. And you can read that up in the article. So he was actually quite a forward thinker and very much a people's Pope. I can see that in his chart. And so this is today. And then we have on the 24th tomorrow, Venus. So that's not exactly part of the T square, but also a major, sorry, the Grand Cross, but also major alignment of the week in its own right. That is Venus in Pisces for the third and last time, passing Saturn in Pisces. So that already happened twice before through the Venus retrograde process. Venus is now out of retrograde, fully out of retrograde since March 12th, and still in Pisces though until next week. And now at the end of her Piscean journey altogether, she passes Saturn once more. So this is also where love, where openness, where connection transcends fear, resistance, and all these downer downer vibrations. That's also Saturn in Pisces. So don't lead with or let me put it that way. See what happens when you lead with fear and with judgment and with no. That is Saturn, right? So Venus wants to pass Saturn, right? And would say, hey, there's a better way. There's actually, let's change the vibration into a loving one, and things can go so much easier. Saturn sees and sometimes even creates obstacles. So we are hopefully beyond that, and especially obstacles to connection, right? And to unity, which we need so much these days. So Venus can help us with that on the journey forward. And yeah, so and then chronologically, on the 25th in 2 days. So that's Friday. We're looking into Friday now. Yeah, that's Mars now in Leo squares Lilith. And so that is also a juicy combination, and it looks like this on the chart. Mars here in Leo squares Lilith. So that's quite a passionate energy, especially Leo, Scorpio, and Mars and Lilith. So yeah, so what this could look like on a very practical, maybe a little bit of a low vibe version is some power issues and ego issues, and but also at the same time things that have been hidden and covered and maybe repressed are coming out, right? So it's about the contrast between Scorpio. It can be about hiding versus Leo is about showing, right? So a certain the way how we go about things, or how our willpower and how ego comes out, that can show a lot. And what we try to hide is being unraveled, or layers are being shed, whether we want it or not. And yeah, but on another level, proactively, this would be great for anything creative that is also helps processing deeper sediments in our psyche. And then we have on the 26th, so that's the dark moon, the dark before new moon. 26th, we have that Mars Pluto opposition, and Mars in Leo opposing Pluto in Aquarius. So again, it's a contrast between sovereignty and society, and what's going on in society. Maybe that can be bridged. Maybe the evolution of society helps us with more sovereignty and more genuine and self-expression. And then we have on the 27th the new moon. And that new moon, oh, I didn't put it in my list. Okay, I need to edit something here. This is my cheat sheet, which I later also post on Instagram and Facebook to look up all these alignments that I'm talking about here. And the new moon. So yeah, the new moon being again and setting the tone, planting a seed for preparation, if you will, from the Sabian symbol. But in any case, it's about values. It's also the settling energy. The early Taurus energy has a Capricorn undertone. It's still sort of close to the settling point, coming from Aries to Taurus. But especially that Capricorn energy also is about preparation, yeah, and what matters most, right? Priorities, preparation and priorities, and at the same time, also value and enjoyment. So a very practical example is what I've been doing today is gardening on the balcony. Lots of preparation goes into it, work goes into it, physical work, but it's so rewarding, and it's also a priority, and it's a timeliness now. Seize the day, carpe diem. Everything is blooming. This is perfect. Requires work, but it's also super enjoyable. Then we have on the on the 30th, a little break with major alignments on the 28th and 29th. I think we need that. we got enough going on with the elections on the 28th. And we have the 30th, last day of the month. We have now Lilith squaring Pluto from the Grand Cross perspective, and in completion of that exact alignments, right? So Lilith here in Scorpio, ruled by Pluto, squares Pluto. And again, this is an energy where a lot of shadow can be actually revealed and released, and more freedom can come from, especially when we have an intimate setting, that would be Scorpio, right? Where we can really be truly ourselves and don't need to cover and hide these things that we need to be strategic about or we're ashamed about or we're keeping them in the dark for whatever reasons. And we can be more open. It's also and transparent. That's also Aquarius versus hiding and controlling, right? So that can be also lots of release of tension through that. Then we have also on the 30th, the last day of this Astro Week, we have Venus entering Aries. Finally, Venus was already in Aries earlier. When was that? February, March. I don't have the dates anymore. It happened, and she went up to about 10 degrees of Aries, went retrograde from there on March 12th, and then went back into Pisces, and here in April, and now she late Pisces, right, where she finally comes out of fully on March 30th and goes fully into Aries, where she will be till June the 5th. So Venus is still a little bit slow after her retro phase because she takes more. You can tell that because she takes more than a month in that sign. And yet she really picks up momentum in Aries. Plus, she will be then fully visible as the morning star. She's not a star, she's a planet, but that's her attribute after the retrograde phase when she rises before the sun. That's the morning star, and and that is also the Taurian association with Venus. Venus starts her retrograde phase as an evening star, and that has a Libra undertone. So the beginning of this whole process, let's say from end of February on already, when she was high in the evening sky. I remember even together with the moon when I was down in Mexico. That was so beautiful. And at that time, when she started that retrograde process, Libra undertone, Libra has a lot to do with the relationships, with harmony, balance, but also with from the retrograde angle, also with comparing ourselves and looking a lot at others, and also weighing all these various options and choices are super important. Yet, and but also old patterns in relationships come up at the same time. We could also say we meet loves from the past and go into that very intentionally, consciously into that dynamic, and that can be a person or a place or whatever you love, and especially from the Pisces side then, where you have resonance and connection and ease. And then now she comes out uh, as a morning star, and the morning star has a Taurus undertone. Plus, we are in Taurus season, and the new moon is coming, right? So Taurus is all about value and enjoyment, right? So enjoying ourselves and what we truly value, not how other people perceive us, whether that's kind and nice and harmonious. No, we need to really love ourselves first. The love goddess has been regenerated, and there we go. And Venus appears as the morning star. Actually, here's a really sweet marker, the so-called cosmic smile. So you probably saw this the news in the media everywhere, right? So the smiley face, and a friend of mine called it cosmic smile. I like that so much better. And that is the alignment of the moon, just like a smiley mouth, the waning moon in the morning, together with Saturn and Venus in Pisces, all of them in Pisces. And it can look, depending on your latitude and position on planet Earth, it can look like a smiley face if Venus and Saturn represent the eyes, right? And the moon is the mouth. So I have I'm not sure whether I will get up early enough to see it in the next few days. If it's nice and clear, I might. And but you have to get up in the morning for that, right? So she's the morning star. And then, yeah, Venus is back and initiated by Saturn and the moon. So what would I say in essence for that? On the Pisces perspective, all is well, all is love, and yeah, relax, raise vibrations, be. It's a lot about being and about what we exude. I think the recording is getting longer, but I still have a few things to say. And that is basically just about the lunar phases because we already talked about the Capricorn undertone. So, yeah, we're now in a waning moon phase and the sliver visible in the morning, right? And the moon is as since yesterday evening in Pisces, together with Saturn and Venus and the North Node. Lots of Pisces energy. And you might have noticed also be when you are really in the flow, when you're on a roll, when you everything is smooth and running, fantastic, and you get a lot of energy. So, and yeah, so the moon will be in Pisces until she enters Aries on the 25th Friday in just after midnight, 12:24. That's what I see. Okay, so that is definitely a shift. Although it's a waning and dark moon, not as strong, but still from Pisces to Aries, a new zodiac cycle starts, and also it's a boost of energy, right? And so, yeah, Aries kicks things off, and that can be in a way, that whole combination of Aries moon, although it's a dark moon, into the new moon on the 27th, from 25th to 27th, can itself feel quite like a renewal energy. And the moon will be in Aries, the 26th still, and go into Taurus on the 27th, the new moon day, again just after midnight, 12:17 a.m. Pacific. And so then the dark moon in Taurus can be actually in a way can be very calm energy, can be very restful energy, and slowing us down and helping us to find our ground, find our deeper ground of being. It's a dark moon from which we renew and prepare and prioritize, as I said before. And then we have on the 28th, election day, we have the moon in Taurus until the evening. So pretty much all day election day, moon is in Taurus. So by the way, I also wrote an article for the elections with the chart of Canada, with the chart of the elections, and also the chart of Carney and Polyev. So, and their transits currently, and their connection with Canada. So all of that is on my blog, and you can read it if you're interested. So, as I said, Taurus moon pretty much all day until 11:34 p.m. Pacific on the 28th when she goes into Gemini. Interestingly, Canada's chart has a Gemini moon, but Taurus is the energy there. So it is a very settled, a very grounded energy, and the moon will eventually on the 29th, possibly already 30th, show up in the evening as the young moon with the first sliver in the evening. Well, remember, Venus is the morning star, right? So, yeah, so the moon in Gemini shifts the whole energy on for Tuesday and Wednesday, 29th and 30th. That is lighter energy again, can be very communicative, lots of learning, lots of levity, and I look forward to a few really cool sessions that are scheduled on the Gemini New Moon Day, and a meeting with a Gemini Moon friend I just see. Okay, and so that's it for today. So much going on. I leave it with this. It's been a long one, and I hope it was helpful. And I would love to see you in person someday if we will, or otherwise, again, you can find me here on the channel next week. Have a good one. Bye.